the Total Brain Database and AGI. The problem. The race to a blueprint for AGI is being run by some of the most brilliant engineers and scientists alive. But brilliance applied to an incomplete brain L&M framework still leads to a misaligned destination. That blueprint is inadequate to align with how human brains actually work. Here's the core challenge. The human brain operates on two interlocking systems. 90% of human thinking is unconscious and wired to detect safety and threat in a fraction of a second. It is riddled with over 100 cognitive biases. A slower, conscious, rational system governs focus, memory, logic, and planning, and overrides when necessary. And it's not very well aligned with the digital environments where the feedback is collected and it is not as rational as is generally assumed. The brain functions optimally when unconscious intuition is harmonized with conscious rational thinking. So any AI that ignores this massive parallel unconscious-conscious interaction of how the brain works is testing and modeling a stereotypical fiction. The solution for testing and building AI is to factor in these actual brain dynamics. The narrow intelligence lens. AI has achieved something absolutely extraordinary, but it is being tested and developed through a rather narrow lens of intelligence. Verbal reasoning, numeracy, spatial cognition, and even multiple intelligences, they are a sliver of what the brain actually does. The milestones of AI, mastering chess, Atari, Go, protein unfolding, of course, are extraordinary achievements, and these researchers deserve every accolade that they receive. But when measured against the full dynamical complexity of the human brain, the benchmarks are a narrow, myopic lens. Following the release of ARC-AGI 3, the field is finally pivoting towards testing and developing AGI using a breadth of cognition and emotion metrics. The Total Brain Database provides a framework to further expand the bandwidth of currently proposed tests and to deepen it to include both unconscious and conscious dynamics. The Total Brain Database. The Total Brain Integrative Intelligence AGI Framework is a complementary framework to expand and deepen the direction the field is already taking. The perspective is derived from decades of applied neuroscience with data from the first standardized and integrative Total Brain International Database that I founded. The data spans human cognitive, emotion, and neurophysiological data, including response time, psychophysiological measures like EEGs and event-related potentials and heart rate variability, neuroimaging, including MRI, TTI, and fMRI, and they generate over 7 billion data points. There are 15 validated paradigms across the cognitive, emotion, and brain dynamics spectrum. The paradigm spectrum includes habituation, startle, attention, memory, emotion regulation, and executive function. The paradigms also span a spectrum of conscious and unconscious processes, including cognitive biases and high temporal and spatial single trial granularity in performance and brain dynamics. These slides provide a list of the validated mainstream paradigms that were used, a spectrum of data types, and examples of data across the age range from 6 to 100 and other metrics such as bias. There are over 400 published outcomes across normal subjects, 10 mental health conditions, well-being, and peak performance available on the www.totalbraindatabase.com website. 4 database exemplars. For the purpose of our framework position paper and this brief video, we have selected 4 exemplars drawn from hundreds of use cases to demonstrate the feasibility of questions that are similar to or expanded questions being tested by AGI groups. Each example maps directly to current AGI evaluation benchmarks. Let's go through the 4 examples. Example 1 is smooth versus jagged performance models. Example 1 of data from the Total Brain Database demonstrates smooth and jagged human performance models akin to the Google DeepMind cognitive taxonomy for testing AGI abilities. Example 2, emotion impact on cognitive efficiency. The data shows emotion state measurably alters cognitive output. This maps directly into Anthropic's own research on emotion concepts and LLM performance reporting. This validates the biological grounding of what they are observing in their models. Example 3, cognitive bias, human versus AI visual language models. The data shows parallel bias data from both the Total Brain Database and an AI visual language model, and on the same task, the Stroop task. Where do their errors converge? Where do they diverge? This is the kind of comparison that highlights complementarity of measures in complex issues such as bias. And example 4, real-time brain dynamics, in this case in executive function. Example 4 is a really revealing real-time brain lens. It captures 2 seconds of electrical brain event-related potentials, ERP, the components that are associated with real-time error detection and the learning of those error detections in an executive function hidden maze task, which is comparable to the ARC AGI 3 benchmarks. The wrong move is shown in orange and the correct move group in blue. Notice that even in the preparatory state, that's the 1 second before they've even decided on their move, and this is unconscious, and look at the ones that will be correct. Look at the difference, even in their preparatory state. That unconscious preparation to respond is called a contingent negative variation, or CNV. Notice how correct responses have less neural processing than incorrect moves, because the correct decision-making networks are more coherently synchronized when they have better performance. This is the human brain in action. This is what AGI is best tested against. Not static benchmarks, but real-time decision dynamics under conditions of uncertainty. And we have this dynamic data for every paradigm in every cohort in the database. The call to action. AGI testing and development deserve a human evolutionary framework that reflects its brain origins of prioritizing safety through to its trebling in size over the past 3 million years, adding a massive amount of association cortex and this incredible parallel processing of abstract symbolic processing and complexity. This is way beyond intelligence metrics. Finally, AI tools have arrived at precisely the right moment to sweep through this mountain of data, finding the most meaningful interconnections and the signatures that will further help test and make AGI genuinely brain-aligned. We are actively selecting collaborators to further expand these exemplars using the Total Brain Database and with respect to AGI evaluation and development and building and expanding this framework. For further details and contact, see totalbraindatabase.com.